In the heart of the city, a new museum was set to unveil its latest acquisition, a rare and mysterious statue known as the Sinister Statue. This event, steeped in anticipation, had drawn a crowd buzzing with curiosity. Among the sea of faces, one stood out: Detective James, a man known for his keen eye and sharp mind. He was intrigued, not just by the arrival of the statue, but by the rumors that swirled around it. Whispers of a dark history, of a lingering curse, had followed the statue to the museum's doorstep. The Sinister Statue, an eerie figure carved from a black stone that seemed to absorb the light around it, was a sight to behold. It depicted a hooded figure with a twisted grin, a book in one hand and a dagger in the other. The crowd gazed at it, their reactions a mix of awe and unease. Just as the curator began his speech, a scream pierced the air, slicing through the hum of voices like a sharp blade. Detective James, always ready for action, pushed through the crowd towards the source of the commotion. A young woman stood in the corner of the room, her face pale with fear, pointing at the statue. "It moved," she cried. "I saw it move." Detective James approached the statue cautiously, his eyes scanning it for any signs of tampering. But it appeared to be solid and unmoving, just as statues should be. He turned to the woman, his voice soothing as he tried to calm her down. "It's just your imagination," he said. "There's nothing to be afraid of." Yet as he stood there, staring at the sinister statue, Detective James could not shake off a feeling that there was more to this statue than met the eye. A feeling that this was just the beginning of a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Deep down, Detective James couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the statue than met the eye. Detective James decided to investigate further, starting with the museum's security footage. As he studied the grainy images, an uncanny figure emerged from the shadows. This was not your typical museum patron. The figure was cloaked in darkness, a wraith-like presence that seemed to dance on the edge of perception. It was elusive, always just a fraction out of the camera's full view, a ghost in the machine. Its movements were unnatural, almost ethereal, a chilling ballet of the macabre. The figure's presence was like a dark stain on the canvas of the museum's daily life, a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. Its behavior was odd, moving with a purpose yet aimlessly, as if it was drawn to the sinister statue, yet kept at bay by an unseen force. The detective's sharp mind was intrigued. Was this shadowy figure connected to the statue's rumored curse? Why was it lurking around the museum in the hours leading to the unveiling? The questions multiplied, but answers were elusive. In his quest for the truth, Detective James turned to the museum staff and attendees. He showed them the footage, pointed out the shadowy figure, asked if they had seen anything unusual. But their responses were a chorus of confusion and denial. No one had seen the figure. No one had noticed anything out of the ordinary. It was as if the figure existed only within the confines of the security footage, a phantom caught on tape. This lack of corroborating witnesses was frustrating for the detective. The shadowy figure was a knot he couldn't untangle, a lead that went nowhere. But Detective James was not a man easily deterred. He thrived on the challenge, the thrill of the chase. He knew that every mystery, no matter how complex, had a solution, and he was determined to find it. Frustrated but undeterred, Detective James turned his attention back to the statue itself. He was certain that the key to unraveling the mystery of the shadowy figure lay within the eerie stone figure. It was time to dig deeper, to uncover the secrets that the sinister statue held within its cold, stone grasp. He examined it from every angle, searching for any clues that might explain its strange behavior. This was Detective James, a man of keen intellect and a sharp eye, who found himself standing before the sinister statue, his gaze drawn to the ancient book in the statue's grasp. This wasn't your everyday book. Its pages were made of a peculiar, shimmering material that seemed to dance and play with the light, casting a faint glow. The cover bore no title, only a series of ornate symbols etched into the smooth, dark surface. It was a relic of a time long past, a time of ancient wisdom and forgotten secrets. Detective James, with great care, dislodged the book from the statue's stone grip, and as he did, a strange chill filled the air. The pages, filled with ancient runes and symbols, seemed to pulse with a life of their own. It was as if the book was waiting for someone to unlock its mysteries. Being a man of many languages, Detective James set about the task of translating the cryptic text. The process was arduous. The symbols were not of any known language, but of something older, something darker. As he deciphered the text, his heart pounded in his chest, his breath hitched in his throat. The statue was not just a work of art, it was a prison, a cage for a malevolent spirit that had been trapped within its stone form for centuries. The book held the key, the spell that locked away the spirit, keeping it from causing harm. But now, with the book removed, the spirit was no longer bound. The eerie statue was more than just a symbol of dread. It was a ticking time bomb of supernatural proportions. The sinister statue was no longer an object of curiosity, but a threat that needed to be contained. Realizing the danger the statue posed, Detective James knew he had to act fast. With the knowledge he gained from the ancient book, he had the means to rebind the spirit. But it would be a race against time, a battle against an enemy as old as time itself. With the help of a team of experts, he devised a plan to safely contain the spirit and prevent it from causing harm. The team, a group of scholars and paranormal experts, collaborated with Detective James to orchestrate a ritual that would reseal the malevolent spirit inside the statue. This was no ordinary feat. The ritual required a careful blend of ancient lore, linguistic knowledge, and a dash of bravery. The team had to meticulously recreate the symbols and runes from the statue's book, arranging them in a circle around the statue. Each symbol was a key, a piece of the puzzle that would lock the spirit away. As the full moon illuminated the museum, the ritual began. Detective James, with a steady voice, started the incantation, each word resonating in the silent halls of the museum. The air grew thick, the tension palpable. The statue, once a dark void, started to react to the incantation. An otherworldly glow emanated from the statue. It was as if the light itself was being absorbed and then radiated back out, casting eerie shadows that danced around the room. The glow pulsed in rhythm with the incantation, growing brighter with each word spoken. The statue's twisted grin seemed to deepen, its grip on the dagger tightening. It was as if the spirit inside was resisting, fighting against the power of the incantation. But Detective James did not waver. He continued, his voice steady, his resolve unwavering. As the final words of the incantation echoed through the museum, the statue pulsed with a final burst of light. Then, just as quickly, it fell still. The glow faded, the shadows receded, and the statue returned to its original, ominous stillness. The spirit had been resealed. With the threat contained, Detective James returned the statue to its rightful place in the museum. The sinister statue, now just a piece of art once more, stood ominously in its corner. The museum was safe again, and the city could breathe a sigh of relief. But Detective James knew, deep down, that this was not the end. There were more mysteries out there, waiting to be solved. He stood before the statue, a sense of unease washing over him. Detective James, despite his victory, couldn't shake off the enigma that shrouded the statue. The sinister grin of the figure, now harmless, seemed to mock him, its secrets locked away once again, perhaps forever. The world was a labyrinth of mysteries, some ancient, some new. Each was a puzzle waiting to be solved, a challenge demanding to be met. This was his world, a world where the ordinary and the extraordinary danced a ceaseless waltz, where the line between reality and the inexplicable was often blurred. Detective James was a seeker of truth, a man who dared to peer into the shadows, to question what others accepted at face value. This statue, the sinister statue as it was called, was one such shadow. Its history was a tapestry woven with threads of the unknown, the misunderstood and the feared. And yet, he had faced it, studied it, and understood it well enough to contain the threat it harbored. His thoughts drifted back to the young woman at the unveiling, her face white as a sheet, her voice trembling as she claimed the statue had moved. He remembered his own skepticism, his disbelief. But he had listened, had taken her fears seriously. And that had led him to a discovery that could have spelled disaster had it been overlooked. The world was full of such unsolved mysteries, waiting for someone to listen, to look beyond the surface, to uncover the truth. And Detective James was ready to answer that call, fueled by an insatiable curiosity and a steadfast dedication to his duty. But for now, he took solace in knowing that he had once again saved the day. He had stopped a catastrophe before it could begin, had turned a potential nightmare into a story of victory. And though the sinister statue remained an enigma, its threat was nullified, its dark secret locked away, and that was enough for now.